Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the range. So the summer's here, the shooting calendar is in full swing, and it seems like every weekend there's another competition or championship up for grabs. And obviously we want to put ourselves in the best possible position to win our grade, win that competition, or put in a personal best score. But in order to do that, our kit is going to need to be in absolute tip-top condition. So that's why I'm here today, to share with you the 5 things that you must check before every competition. Test number 1, in case you haven't already guessed, is going to be power. So if your power's out, the chances are everything else could be bang on, you still ain't going to hit that target. So I'm shooting my Anschutz 9003 today with 10.3 grain JSB pellets, and I usually set this up to shoot somewhere between 695 and 705 feet per second, which is roughly 11 to 11.5 foot-pounds. That just leaves me a little bit in the tank just in case I come out one day and it's a really hot day, the pressure in the cylinder goes up, so the speed goes up. I'm still going to be legal. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 5 shots across the chrono, and hopefully all 5 are going to be somewhere within that 695 to 705 window. Fingers crossed. Hi guys, right, so here we are. We've got a chronograph and we're going to put 5 shots over the chronograph. As I say, I normally set my rig up to shoot between 695 and 705 feet per second, which, as I say, is roughly 11 to 11.5 foot-pound of energy. And yeah, I'm going to put 5 shots through, and hopefully all of them go through that 10 feet per second window. So here we go, shot number 1. Okay, so that's 705, which is right at the top end of the window, but still counts. Second one. Yep, 704. So you notice that I'm not shooting straight away. I like to try and count to about 15 or 20 just to give the reg time to charge fully. Sometimes they do take a couple of seconds. Some, you know, hopefully yours will just snap straight up to its final pressure, but sometimes it does take a couple of seconds, so just sort of hold on. If you're shooting in a competition, you wouldn't be firing every 3 seconds, so this is a more realistic test. Okay, so 695, so that's the other end of the window. Of course, the second thing that we're testing for here, and this is in fact test number 2, is consistency. So as I say, I'm looking for this 10 feet per second window, which works out at about 4 millimeters of potential drop or lift at 55 yards. So nearly the width of a pellet. Obviously important, but probably not critical as long as you've got your wind and your elevation, your range finding correct. 698, so nicely within the window. I've lost count, I think that's 4. Yeah, so say a 10 shot, a 10 feet per second spread over a 5 or 8 shot string, nothing to worry about. Say chances are you're not going to be shooting at a 55 yard target anyway. More important really what the sort of shot to shot difference is, but if you are picking up a bigger spread than sort of 10, 15 certainly feet per second, then that could be an indication that perhaps your reg or your gun needs a service. Last one. 702, pretty much right in the middle, so perfect. So yeah, roughly 11 to 11.5 foot-pounds. Leaves me a little bit in the tank, just in case obviously it does get any warmer. I say today is we're probably already, it's 10:30 in the morning, at least 27, 28 degrees. It's really, really humid. Yeah, 27 degrees. So yeah, really humid. So hopefully won't get too much hotter, but I've got enough in the tank there just in case it does. I'm still going to be legal. I'm not going to get disqualified. So that was test number 1 and test number 2, power and consistency. And now we're going to go on to test number 3. Right guys, so we've done our first two checks. We've checked for power and we've checked for consistency. So the next check that we're going to make is our zero, but we're going to do this in two parts, going to break it up. So the first part we're going to do is for our windage, our left to right. You can have the range right, you can know that your power is right, your holding technique is brilliant, but if you've got your windage is out, then chances are you're going to pick up an edge, and not the inside edge either. So all we're going to do for that is I've just taken a card here and I've drawn a couple of vertical lines, and all we're going to do is basically card out at about 12.5 yards, something like that, 12.5 yards, and we're going to try and basically cut the line. Now, I'm not going to be bothered about whether the shot lands slightly higher or slightly lower than my sort of reference point, although if it is a way out, that might be something you want to check, right? And the reason we're doing it at 12.5 yards is we want to take any wind that you might have on the day out of the equation. So today it's a fairly still sort of day out there, but there's still a little bit of breeze. So if we start trying to check our windage further out, then obviously wind is going to be a factor. So what we want to do is just put a target 10, 11, 12 yards. Wouldn't really go any further than that, and just use that. And as I say, all we want to do is cut the line. If we do that, we know our windage is right. If the shots are going to the left, we need to pull them back to the right until it cuts the line. If they're landing to the right, again, we obviously need to pull them back to the left on the turret until they cut the line. So yeah, fingers crossed. Here we go. Check number 3. Okay, right, so the card's out at 12.5 yards, and as I say, I'm just going to shoot at those couple of vertical lines now, or a vertical line, and we're just looking to cut the line. Okay. Okay, so I've had 3 shots there. One of them's cut the line and the other 2 are pretty close to the line but slightly to the right. So I'm just going to fire another couple of shots, see if it's just me bouncing around or whether we do actually need to maybe move it across to the left a click. Okay, so I've had 2 extra shots there. Both of those have cut the line, so I think the first couple were probably me just bouncing around a bit too much. So I'm happy with that, and that's our 3rd check complete. Windage and left to right. Typical British weather. You can plan a shoot, you can come out, you can try and shoot, but halfway through it's 27, 28 degrees and suddenly it's decided to start raining. So having a little bit of a break, and hopefully we can get back to check 4 elevation as soon as possible. Okay, so the 4th check that you must do before a competition, and this one's a biggie, is elevation. So this is the second part of our zero check. So we know that our windage is good, so we should be landing somewhere on the vertical. This is going to make sure that we're landing on the horizontal. Now this one you probably do want to check at your actual zero range, so i.e. wherever your turret is set to 0 or wherever you have it so that your shot should land exactly on your sort of crosshair. So we're going to shoot this at 35 yards for me with my Anschuts, and similarly to the left to right, all we're looking to do this time is land along a straight line. We're not too bothered about landing off to the left or landing off to the right. That's just going to be due to any sort of ambient wind. We know that because we've just done our sort of left to right windage checks, which is one of the advantages of this kind of check. So okay, here we go. So hopefully you only need 3 or 4 shots, and hopefully they all land on the line. Okay, cool. So there we go. So that is check number 4 complete. Elevation, pretty happy with that. We've got a couple of shots slightly high but touching line, a couple of shots slightly low but touching the line, and one that's cut the line completely. So yeah, pretty happy with that for my elevation and my zero. I say that's check 4 complete, and we're on to the last one, check number 5. Okay guys, so we're nearly there. We've just got our 5th must check to go, and this one is going to be range finding. We know our power's good, we know it's consistent, we know our windage is good, and we know our elevation is correct, which should mean that most of our clicks, or your lines if you're using hold over or hold under, are also going to be correct. But if our range finding's out, then all of that is going to go straight out the window. So that's our 5th and final check that we're going to do today. Now, you should be careful, or be aware at least, if you are carrying out these checks like me, not on the day of the competition. So hopefully these are all checks that you could do on the zero range. Certainly if you've got a laser rangefinder, and it's certainly the basic format that I go through. But if you're not doing it on the day of the competition, then do be aware that obviously conditions can change. So obviously if it gets a lot hotter, that's possibly going to change your range finding, possibly going to change your power. I know that this weekend, for example, we're shooting about 200 miles away, and whilst I'm sitting here today sweating my bits off, up north I think they're pretty much in for a day of rain. So obviously things can change dramatically. Anyway, so what we're going to do today is I've put a target out at a known distance. You really want something that's going to be sort of 50 yards plus, or at the extremities of what you are shooting, and it's got to be a known distance. So whether it's something like I'm obviously on an outdoor sort of 50-meter range here, maybe you've got a tape on it or a laser rangefinder, but we know exactly how far that target is, and so we know whether our range finding is going to be correct or otherwise, basically. So I've chosen today, I've got a beaten up, shot up old spinner, which is really good because you've got loads of paint flecks and stuff kind of coming off it. It gives you loads of contrast, so it's really good in the scope, helps you get a really nice crisp image. So all I'm going to do is basically range find the spinner, and fingers crossed everything comes up on the line. Let's see how we get on. Cool. Okay, so I've range found that target about 3 times, and it's come up pretty much on the line. One was slightly over. It is a pretty warm day, so I kind of expect that. and the other 2 were sort of touching the line. So I think I'll double check it when I get to my competition, see if there's a target out on the practice range that I can zap with my laser rangefinder, and just double check it. But by and large, it's about where it needs to be. Well, that's about it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that useful or interesting and could take something from it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It will truly help the channel. I'm going to go and take a shower. But until I see you again, shoot safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.